from the rainy streets of New York City to wherever you're waking up this morning. Thank you for joining Fox and Friends First on this Tuesday. I'm Heather Childers.
And I'm Clayton Morris. Thanks so much for starting your day with us. We start now with a Fox News alert closing in on a killer. Chilling new images released overnight showing the suspected Turkey nightclub terrorist taking a selfie and smirking hours before the attack.
Wow. Police are now inching closer to capturing him, arresting a dozen people in late-night apartment raids. Local media reporting that police have his fingerprints and they know who he is. The sole American shot speaking out about how he played dead to survive the massacre. Jake Rack says that he laid motionless while the gunman hit dozens around him at point-blank range, killing 39.
All I can say is it's a massive tragedy. This is very unfortunate. I don't want to talk about what happened inside the club. I was with 9 people, and 7 of us were shot.
Well, Turkish media reporting that this video shows the killer escaping in a cab and failing to pay his fare before trying to hitchhike. He is believed to be from Uzbekistan or Kyrgyzstan.
In a tragic accident involving a dangerous pesticide claiming the lives of 4 children in Texas, a family member tried cleaning the chemical off the Amarillo home with water, not knowing that the water would produce a highly toxic gas. The children range in age from 7 to 17. 5 more people are still fighting for their lives. The chemical is restricted by the EPA and is normally used to kill rodents.
He is fit to be sentenced starting today. Dylan Roof will represent himself in court as a jury decides if he should live or die. Roof told a judge that he will not call any witnesses or present any evidence. But prosecutors plan to call as many as 36 family members of victims. Roof was convicted in December of killing 9 people after opening fire in a South Carolina church last year.
An intense manhunt underway for a dangerous inmate who escaped from prison. James Morales climbing a basketball hoop and jumping barbed wire fences to escape a Rhode Island prison. It took officials, though, 2 hours to realize that he even left. Police say he crossed state lines, stealing a car from a gas station before ditching it near his ex-girlfriend's Massachusetts home. The former Army reservist is in prison for stealing guns from an armory.
And now to a Fox Business alert. Customs computers back online after a nationwide outage sparked mayhem. Long lines, delays, and cancellations at airports all across the country.
Yeah, Cheryl Casoni from our sister network Fox Business here now with details on this. Good morning, Cheryl.
Yeah, good morning, guys. And that's right. This all happened on one of the busiest travel days of the year. Thousands of international travelers stuck Monday night after a computer outage left thousands lined up behind customs desks and screening stations. Listen.
We found long lines. I mean, ginormously long lines. And they weren't letting the kids, families with kids go through.
Longer than our actual flight, about over 2 hours in line once we got here.
Well, customs officers had to use alternative procedures while their systems were down. U.S. Customs and Border officials say there was nothing malicious about the outage. The digital disaster lasted from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. with at least 30 flights in Miami in particular affected. And then check out this time-lapse video from Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, one of the busiest in the world, where lines stretched round and round as people returning home from overseas were processed by hand. Folks taking to social media, obviously, to vent about this. Now, officials using, Twitter, of course, to let global passengers know the nightmare was over. But still no word from the agency what caused the big mess. Guys, back to you.
Imagine if the electric grid went down.
Yeah.
Look more like that. Thanks, Cheryl.
Or let's not imagine that,
Yeah, let's try not to.
Thank you, Cheryl. Well, turning now to some extreme weather. At least 5 people are dead as tornadoes, wind, and rain leave a trail of destruction in the south.
And then in southern Alabama, tornado toppling trees into a mobile home, killing 4 people inside there.
And to the north, heavy rains flooding roads and trapping drivers.
This is a prime example as to why not be out. It's because we have a vehicle submerged in water at this time.
The deadly storm now moving east. Senior meteorologist Janice Dean is here with what to expect. Nice to see you, Janice.
Nice to see you this morning. Unfortunately, such terrible news for the first of the year. This devastating tornado outbreak that pushed across Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. We had over a dozen reports of tornadoes, over 150 reports of wind. So this is going to be an ongoing situation throughout the day today. The storm is weakening. That's the good news, but we're still going to see the threat, a slight risk for strong storms, including isolated tornadoes across maybe the mid-Atlantic, the southeast today, and then eventually this storm pushing up towards the northeast, mainly a rain event over the next 24 to 48 hours, and then it will be out of the way by Wednesday. And then we'll focus on our next storm that is pushing in from the west, bringing heavy rain along the coast and inches of snow, perhaps feet of snow across the interior section of the west. Now, your highs today, you can see where the cold air is sinking southward. Another cold Arctic outbreak is moving in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, spreading southward towards the Mississippi River Valley, the Tennessee River Valley, and then in towards the northeast and the southeast by Thursday. So this is the system we're going to watch in the next couple of days. And again, that future radar just showing you that system that brought tornadic activity yesterday, last night, and then pushing out by Wednesday. So we'll keep you posted. A lot of people might be traveling today. There are going to be delays at the airport, certainly along the eastern seaboard. Clayton, Heather, back to you.
All right, thanks, Janice.
You've been warned.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, President-elect Trump is hard at work, making new cabinet moves with just 17 days until his inauguration. But a heated battle is looming to get his team confirmed. Doug McElway is live from Washington, D.C. with more on the latest addition to Mr. Trump's team. Good morning, Doug.
Morning, Clayton. One late development in the Trump transition this morning. The AP, citing a transition official, says that Trump is expected to nominate lawyer Robert Lighthizer as U.S. Trade Representative. Lighthizer was formerly the USTR under President Reagan. Given Trump's promise to oppose the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership, his opposition to NAFTA, and his promise to set up bilateral trade agreements with many other countries, Lighthizer would be a key figure in the administration. He would join former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue at Agriculture as the latest Trump pick. Elsewhere, Democrats are vowing to launch tough nomination fights against at least 8 of Trump's cabinet nominees, including Rex Tillerson at State, Senator Jeff Sessions for Attorney General, Representative Mick Mulvaney at OMB, Betsy DeVos at Education, Andrew Puzder at Labor, Tom Price at HHS, Steve Mnuchin at Treasury, and Scott Pruitt at EPA. Soon-to-be Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has promised that Democrats will slow walk those picks and try to damage them, but they just don't have enough votes to block any of them. Getting a pass from Democrats, General James Mattis, Governor Nikki Haley, and General John Kelly. In other transition news, Trump is again tweeting about his victory and when he knew it was certain. Quote, various media outlets and pundits say that I thought I was going to lose the election. Wrong. It all came together in the last week, and I thought and felt I would win big, easily over the fabled 270. When they canceled the fireworks, they knew. And so did I. That last line, a reference to the fireworks display in the East River that the Clinton campaign had purchased in anticipation of what they felt was almost guaranteed victory. Clayton, Heather, back to you.
Dust off those fireworks. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you. Well, some brand new... Welcome back. Doubling down, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange insists that Russia had zero involvement in the emails leaked during the election. In an exclusive interview with Sean Hannity, Assange says the Obama administration is trying to delegitimize the Trump presidency. Kelly Wright live for us from D.C. with the interview that you will not see anywhere else. Good morning, Kelly.
Heather and Clayton, good morning to you as well. Julian Assange, a controversial founder and editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks, claims the Obama administration is trying to delegitimize the election of Donald Trump. In an exclusive interview inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where Assange is staying, he tells Fox News' Sean Hannity that Russia is not the source for hacking the emails of the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta.
You did not get this information about the DNC, John Podesta's emails. Can you tell the American people 1,000% you did not get it from Russia or anybody associated with Russia?
We can say, we have said repeatedly over the last 2 months that our source is not the Russian government and it is not a state party.
Throughout the presidential election, WikiLeaks released emails that embarrassed the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. Assange disputing the Obama administration's claims that Russia was involved.
Our publications had wide uptake by the American people. They're all true. But that's not the allegation that is being presented by the Obama White House. So why such a dramatic response? Well, the reason is obvious. They're trying to delegitimize Trump administration as it goes into the White House. They are trying to say that President-elect Trump is not a legitimate president.
Meanwhile, the FBI and Homeland Security claim to have evidence of a Russian link. A U.S. intelligence source says not all of it has been released over concerns for sources and foreign allies that help us. Part one of the exclusive interview, by the way, airs tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Fox News Channel with Sean Hannity. Back to you, Heather.
All right, we'll be watching that for sure. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Well, the president-elect now setting his sights on the out-of-control murder rate in Chicago. Mr. Trump slamming Mayor Rahm Emanuel, tweeting, quote, "Chicago murder rate is record-setting. 4,331 shooting victims with 762 murders in 2016. If Mayor can't do it, he must ask for federal help." Well, 2016 marked the bloodiest year that the city has seen in 2 decades. That is according to Chicago police. The department says movements like Black Lives Matter, they blame them for the uptick in violence.
The national narrative, the anti-police rhetoric doesn't help either.
Well, the police superintendent says that anti-police climate is emboldening criminals.
Well, furious residents refusing to foot the bill for 100 Syrian refugees. The mayor of Rutland, Vermont, defending his decision, saying the refugees will bring more workers and add cultural diversity to the town. Residents there worry the city can't handle that many people economically. They formed a group there called Rutland First to pressure the mayor into reversing his decision.
Well, first, France told their workers, we told you about this, they didn't have to answer emails at home.
And now people in Finland don't have to work to get paid. Brilliant. A new program there giving jobless Finns about $600 a month. And they don't even have to explain what they spend it on.
Officials say that it could help cut or boost employment, arguing that people often turn down low-paying jobs so they can hold on to the country's generous unemployment benefits. Wonder if that'll work. We'll see.
I think it'll probably work. 18 minutes now after the hour.
And a battle is brewing on Capitol Hill this morning as Congress gets back to work. Can Democrats really try and stop the president-elect and GOP majority from confirming his cabinet picks? Why our next guest says, bring it on.
In a new twist in a mystery that's puzzled historians for more than a century. Could it have been a fire and not actually an iceberg that took down the Titanic? And welcome back. United Airlines launching how a baggage handler ended up locked in the cargo area of a flight from North Carolina to Virginia.
I was so glad that he didn't end up going to LA or New York.
Well, as long as he's safe, it's okay. At least he got a free trip.
At some point during the 1.5-hour flight, United was alerted that the handler was in the cargo hold of the airplane. So far, he hasn't said how he ended up there. Old Glory giving a family who lost everything new hope. A fire destroying a single father of three's house in a matter of seconds. The only thing that survived unscathed was this, an American flag. It was left to him by his father, a World War II vet, after he passed away.
I knew I'd lost everything. Firemen come out and it had Dad's flag, and I thought I lost it then.
The family drawing strength from their faith and the flag. Heather?
Glad they're all okay. Well, the new GOP-led Congress kicks off today. Big day with a very long to-do list. The first priority, repeal and replace Obamacare and confirming the president-elect's cabinet. But Democrats are promising an uphill battle for both. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying, quote, if Republicans think they can quickly jam through a whole slate of nominees without a fair hearing process, they're sorely mistaken. Here to weigh in, former State Department press officer Morgan Ortagus. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Heather. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you, too. And a lot of work to be done in this new year as we begin for the new Congress, 115th Congress. Let's start with the to-do list. It is a long one. We have Obamacare, repeal and replace. We mentioned that already. Confirmations, regulatory rollbacks, the UN rebuke, re-electing Ryan, and then some new House rules. So do you think that they will begin successfully with Obamacare?
It's a very big agenda, everything that you just named. Repealing Obamacare is probably actually the easiest part, because in the Senate, that can be done without the 60 majority vote that's needed to actually replace Obamacare. So repealing it should be on the agenda. Democrats are definitely going to put up a fight. You see that the President Obama, is going down to the Hill this week to talk to Democrats about how they can save it.
The day of action, the 15th.
It is. The bottom line is that Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, this would die under its own weight. So even the Democrats know that major changes would be needed. And I think that this is really where the President-elect has time to shine, because whether it comes to Obamacare or it comes to tax reform, where he has major policy initiatives that he needs 60 votes in the Senate that he doesn't have as Republicans, he's going to have to come down and make a deal. And that's something that the President never did over the past 8 years.
Yeah, you definitely have to have something to replace it with, though. And you also have to give it some time in between so people just don't instantly, lose their health care coverage, which is a fear.
And that was a part of the rollout. The problem with the rollout that Democrats felt in the midterm elections in 2010 and 2012 is that it wasn't rolled out properly. People weren't sure to do it. Now, one of the major problems is that the major insurers aren't on the health exchanges. So it's clearly not working for big business and not working for the average American.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the nominees that Democrats are saying, you know what, we're not going to make this easy on you. They do plan to target specifically some of these folks. You see here Rex Tillerson, and then Senator Jeff Sessions, and then you have Representative Mick Mulvaney, Betsy DeVos, and Andrew Puzder, Tom Price. We were just speaking about him in terms of Obamacare, and then Scott Pruitt.
Well, I can see why the Democrats and the liberals especially feel so threatened with these cabinet picks. And that's because they represent people with real business success. And that's not really what we saw in the nominations over the past 8 years. I think that this is a fight that the Democrats are sort of having amnesia on. If they decide to go after all of these nominees because they're successful in business, they will be deploying the same campaign tactics that they lost doing to President-elect Trump. They went after Trump for his business dealings internationally and at home. And ultimately, the American people said, you know what? We want to give a business guy a chance. So the President-elect has assembled one of the most successful cabinets probably in modern history. And Washington's a tough place. There's a lot of tough rules. It's different than business. But I think that we should give these business people a chance. Tillerson's going to be tough, of course, because he's going to get a lot of questions, even from Republicans on the Russia issue. But again, he did what was in the best interest of his company, and he should be judged differently for that than he would be for his policy as Secretary of State.
And the President-elect has said that, his goal is jobs, jobs, jobs. So we will see if that works. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. And Happy New Year once again.
Thank you, Heather.
Clayton?
All right, the time is now 27 minutes after the hour. A safe haven for heroin addicts. One city's plan to let people shoot up in a comfortable environment. And first Rosie, now Bruce Springsteen, trying to show the president-elect who is boss, what the singer has to say about the incoming administration.
Just wrap your legs around these velvet rims, strap your hands across my...
Your Tuesday morning, Mr. Blue Sky, although it's pouring down rain here in New York City. We hope it'll be nicer soon with all those storms that are out there. Good morning, everyone. You're watching Fox and Friends First. I'm Clayton Morris.
And I'm Heather Childers. It is half past the top of the hour. Thanks for joining us. We do start with that Fox News alert closing in on a images released overnight showing the suspected Turkey nightclub terrorist taking a selfie and smirking hours before the attack.
Police now inching closer to capturing him, arresting a dozen people in late-night apartment raids. Local media there reporting police have his fingerprints and they know who he is. The sole American shot speaking out about how he played dead to survive the massacre. Jake Rake says he laid motionless while the gunman hit dozens around him at point-blank range, killing 39 people.
All I can say is it's a massive tragedy. This is very unfortunate. I don't want to talk about what happened inside the club. I was with 9 people. 7 of us were shot.
Turkish media reporting that this video shows the killer escaping in a cab and failing to pay his fare before trying to hitch a ride. He's believed to be from Uzbekistan or Kyrgyzstan.
Well, a massive search is underway this morning at this hour for a young boy who wandered away from home on New Year's Eve. His heartbroken mother pleading for his return.
I'm worried with how cold it is that something might really bad happen to him. Please help me find him.
6-year-old David Puckett wearing only a thin jacket when he vanished. It happened in Colorado's below freezing temperatures. Police say that the boy has a slight learning disability and has wandered off at least 2 other times.
We're turning now to some extreme weather. At least 5 people dead as tornadoes, wind and rain leave a trail of destruction in the south. In southern Alabama, a tornado toppling trees into a mobile home there, killing 4 people inside. And in Mississippi, trees ripped from their roots and parts of homes scattered in yards after a possible tornado. And then over to Dallas now. A lightning storm sparking a massive house fire. No one was hurt there. Senior meteorologist Janice Dean is live in our weather center with the latest on this. Good morning, Janice.
Hi, Clayton and Heather. Yes, very spring-like system that went through the last 24 hours across the Mississippi River Valley. We had over a dozen reports of tornadoes. Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia affected, and over 150 reports of wind. Where's this system going next? It's moving northward, so we're going to get heavy rain across the mid-Atlantic in towards the northeast for the day today. Too warm for a lot of snow, but we could see some icing across northern parts of New England. So watching that, the potential for some snow and icing over the next several hours. The other big story is we've got another Arctic intrusion on the way for the northern plains and the upper Midwest. There are your current temperatures below 0, and with the wind chill, minus 35, minus 24, minus 23, you get the picture. Very cold, and that cold air is spreading southward and eastward. So by week's end, we'll be feeling it across portions of the Gulf Coast, even towards the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So watching this very carefully. Thankfully, that system, it is moving northward, but it's weakening, so we won't see the severe impact that we saw over the last 24 hours. Clayton, Heather, back to you.
All right, thanks, Janice.
Okay, 81 down there in Miami. It's hot. Lucky. Well, President-elect Trump is hard at work making new cabinet moves with just 17 days until his inauguration. But a heated battle is looming to get his team confirmed. Doug McElway live for us in Washington, D.C. with some new additions to Team Trump. Good morning, Doug.
Morning, Heather. One more development this morning as Trump races to fill those key administration slots in advance of the inauguration. The AP, citing a transition official, reports that Trump is expected to nominate lawyer Robert Lighthizer as the U.S. Trade Representative. Lighthizer was formerly the U.S. Trade Representative under President Reagan. Given Trump's opposition to TPP and to NAFTA and his promise to set up bilateral trade agreements rather than multi-nation agreements, Lighthizer would play a huge role in the new administration. He would join former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue at Agriculture as the latest Trump pick. In the meantime, Democrats are vowing to go on the attack against at least 8 of Trump's cabinet nominees. Those targeted 8 include Rex Tillerson at State, Senator Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, Representative Mick Mulvaney at OMB, Betsy DeVos at Education, Andrew Puzder at Labor, Tom Price at HHS, Steve Mnuchin at Treasury, and Scott Pruitt at EPA. Soon-to-be Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has promised that Democrats will slow walk those picks while attempting to ding them as much as possible, but they don't have enough votes to block any of them. Getting a pass from Democrats, General James Mattis, Governor Nikki Haley, and General John Kelly. In other transition news, Trump is again tweeting about his victory and when he knew it was certain. Quote, various media outlets and pundits say that I thought I was going to lose the election. Wrong. It all came together in the last week, and I thought and felt I would win big, easily over the fabled 270. When they canceled fireworks, they knew, and so did I. That last line, a reference, of course, to the fireworks display in the East River that the Clinton campaign had purchased in anticipation of what they thought was almost certain victory. Heather, back to you.
I had a feeling something was up when they canceled that.
Yeah. Well, save those fireworks for 4th of July celebration. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
One computer is back online after a nationwide outage sparks long lines and delays at the airports across the country. That's great because those customs lines are always short to begin with.
Yeah.
Check out the time-lapse video from Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, one of the busiest in the world. Holy smokes. Lines stretching as far as the eye can see as people returning from overseas were processed by hand. People taking to social media to vent their frustration.
When the computers go down in immigration, there's probably 3,000 people in the Miami airport. This is crazy.
I guess those global entry cards wouldn't help either. You still have to do it by hand. Tempers flaring in Miami as people started to lose some patience. It's easy to see why, because lines here at Miami International stretching at least a quarter of a mile long. The outage lasted around 4 hours. Customs says there's no indication the disruption was malicious.
Well, police storming a packed United Airlines flight after a passenger goes berserk on a flight attendant, all because he was mad about his seat.
I'm calm as can be. I'm yelling at him. I'm not yelling. You want to hear me yell? Do you know how cool it would be to have the airplane turned around with me? You're going to do that? You do that. I'm being so impolite, aren't I, fat?
Well, the plane bound for San Francisco from Sydney, Australia, diverted to New Zealand. That's where the man was arrested. The other 254 people on board forced to wait 24 hours for another flight. Guaranteed they were not very happy.
Well, this video will take your breath away, especially if you're a parent or just a human being with a heart.
Yeah, it brought tears to my eyes. Look at this. It's a 2-year-old boy pinned underneath a dresser. You can see him there. And his twin brother coming to the rescue.
You can see him struggling to move that dresser and eventually managing to slide it off of his brother. Both boys are okay. Their parents say they discovered the dresser down, then checked the footage from their surveillance system, and they saw this. Can you imagine seeing that on your surveillance camera?
Yeah, and then the other little boy, you can see him roll over to get out. They posted this video to YouTube as a lesson to other parents. That is a miracle. For sure.
And that little boy
100%.
went out to the garage, lifted up the car so Pa Kent could change a tire also. I saw that. 39 minutes after the hour. Well, it didn't happen then.
Today, I Merrick Brian Garland to join the Supreme Court.
But could President Obama pull a fast one and get a Supreme Court nominee confirmed today?
And Donald Trump's catchphrase was iconic on The Apprentice.
Fired. Okay. Go. Terrible.
So what is Arnold using as his new line on the reality show? Stick around to find out.
And welcome back. A safe space to shoot up. The city of San Francisco considering a city-funded drug den for heroin addicts. New research from Maryland's Criminal Justice Policy Foundation claims that a supervised injection site could save the city $3.5 million a year in medical costs racked up by addicts. But San Francisco's mayor is one of the most vocal critics of the idea, saying that he doesn't want to see people shooting up on the city's dime.
Well, a little-known loophole could make for a shocker in the Supreme Court in just a few hours. The Senate ushering in a new Congress before noon today. And in the 5-minute gray period between sessions, President Obama could use his recess appointment powers to send Judge Merrick Garland to the bench. The legal gamble unlikely but possible. He made a similar move back in 2012, but those appointments were overturned.
In doubling down, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange insists Russia had zero involvement in the emails leaked during the election.
In an exclusive with Sean Hannity, Assange says that the Obama administration is trying to delegitimize the Trump presidency. Kelly Wright is live for us in D.C. with the interview that you won't see anywhere else. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning to you both. That's right. You'll see it right here on Fox News Channel later tonight. We'll talk more about that. But Julian Assange, the controversial founder and editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks, claims the Obama administration is trying to delegitimize the election of Donald Trump. Now, in an exclusive interview inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where Assange is staying under political asylum, Assange tells Fox News' Sean Hannity that Russia is not the source for hacking the emails of the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta.
Did it change the outcome? Who knows? It's absolutely impossible to tell. But if it did, the accusation is that the true statements of Hillary Clinton and her campaign manager, John Podesta, and the DNC head, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, their true statements is what changed the election.
Throughout the presidential election, WikiLeaks released emails that did in fact embarrass the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. Assange is disputing the Obama administration's claims that Russia was involved.
Is the President of the United States lying to the American people?
Well, he's acting like a lawyer. If you look at most of his statements, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say WikiLeaks obtained its information from Russia, worked with Russia.
He's saying Russia's trying to influence the U.S. elections.
Yes, so he, and you also note that he doesn't say, from the statements that I've read, he doesn't say that Russia was trying to influence the election for Donald Trump.
Meanwhile, the FBI and Homeland Security claim to have evidence of a Russian link. A U.S. intelligence source says not all of it has been released over concerns for the sources and foreign allies that work with us. You can see part one of the exclusive interview, which airs tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Fox News Channel.
All right, thank you, Kelly. We'll certainly be watching that. Well, let's keep talking about this, by the way. Do you think Russia is behind election hacking, or is it just about delegitimizing President-elect Trump? Log on to Fox and Friends' first Facebook page right after the show for live debate. Hashtag keep talking.
Our good friend Steve Doocy is back to see what's coming up on the big show, Fox and Friends. Hey, Steve, how are you, man? How was your holiday?
It was great. Thank you very much, Clayton, and good morning to y'all. Coming up on Fox and Friends, are the Democrats willing to work with President-elect Trump?
He has an enormous opportunity, as every president in the first 100 days, to show that, he's eager to find common ground.
But do the Republicans think the Democrats deserve a seat at the table with Mr. Trump? We're going to analyze that. We got a busy 3 hours. Also, Laura Ingram's going to join us. We've got Ed Henry, Tucker Carlson. Now back to y'all, Heather and Clayton.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
We watching?
Yep.
All right, we'll be right back.
Stay with us. Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. Journalists exposed by WikiLeaks for their close ties with the Clinton administration. Well, soon they will cover the man right there, the Trump administration. And that includes New York Times reporter Glenn Thrush, who sent emails to Clinton staffers before publishing them. While CNBC chief political correspondent and New York Times political writer John Harwood, you'll remember that name, he's also in the mix. He provoked Mr. Trump at a debate.
Let's be honest. Is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign?
Well, Harwood was proud of that comment. He later bragged about it in an email to Clinton campaign chair John Podesta.
Well, just like Rosie O'Donnell, Bruce Springsteen now questioning whether Mr. Trump is fit to serve the country. In a podcast interview, the singer says he's never felt fear like he does right now.
It's simply the fear of, is someone simply competent enough to do this particular job? Do they simply have the pure competence to be put in a position of such, responsibility?
Springsteen was a staunch Hillary Clinton supporter, but now says he understands how Mr. Trump got elected.
Well, a brand new twist in that blame game over Mariah Carey's New Year's Eve meltdown.
So is there proof now that it was sabotaged? Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7, Sirius XM 115, here with the very latest on this latest controversy. Hey, Carly.
That's right. A messy start for Miss Mariah in 2017, right? Well, her team says she did, in fact, attend a rehearsal for that ill-fated New Year's Eve performance after anonymous production sources say she skipped out. TMZ just releasing a video of Mariah Carey and Ryan Seacrest that appears to prove the singer's side of the story.
Okay, so the stand-in, Jeff, out of work. The real Mariah, right there.
That's right. He said a stand-in out of work. That video taken at a 3 p.m. sound check. Photos posted by TMZ also show Carey on stage rehearsing her routine. A rep for Carey says the singer complained about audio issues during the sound check and even accused Dick Clark Productions of sabotaging her performance to create a viral moment. Of course, Dick Clark Productions denies this, but social media still can't get over this whole ordeal. Greg tweeting, "How did ABC not pull that Mariah disaster performance minutes for the West Coast. Wow. And Jason says, let's just talk about this crisis for the next 6 months. I guess if you believe all press is good press, everybody wins, right?
I guess
yeah,
so,
Mariah's
yeah.
winning.
We're talking about her more than we have in a while.
Bingo.
All right, so the Titanic. We all think that it was hit an iceberg and then it crashed, but maybe that might not be true.
Yeah, that's right. Researchers now saying a deadly combination of both fire and ice caused the Titanic to sink. Many of us thought we knew the story, made even more famous by that 1997 movie. But a journalist who studied rarely before seen photos of the ship says a massive below-deck fire caused the ship's hull to weaken, allowing that iceberg to slice right through it. The fire is said to have been burning for weeks before disaster struck. 1,503 people died as a result back in 1912.
I'm like, no one would notice that. Hey, there's a fire down there.
Yeah. As people were partying.
Just warming my hands over it. Well, what about Arnold Schwarzenegger? People wondering whether or not this show was going to be a success. The new Celebrity Apprentice, now that Donald Trump has gone. He's got his own catchphrase now, of course.
Bingo. The most famous phrase from Celebrity Apprentice just received an update.
Connie, you're terminated. Hasta la vista, baby.
Wow, even more powerful than the previous phrase. Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, hosting this season of Celebrity Apprentice because President-elect Trump's name still appeared at the end of the credits. Critics saying his involvement is a conflict of interest. The president-elect says his name is only there, really in name.
All right.
All right, thanks, Carly. Hasta la vista. We'll be right back.
Promote my new business and